am Alethea Felton, and welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast. If you're struggling in your life with self-sabotaging and negative thoughts that leave you feeling stuck and limit you from moving forward, I can help you. As a holistic health and empowerment coach, I help people identify, challenge, and conquer those thoughts in order to make simple and practical changes to improve overall wellness. Let's remove those limitations, for the time is now to create your power transformation. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. And what an exciting show that we have in store for you today. Okay, Maribeth Decker, I want to get right into her interview, and we're going to do that. If you are an animal lover, or you own a pet, or have ever owned a pet, or you know anybody that has a pet, okay, this episode is for you. If you have ever seen an animal in your life, then this episode is for you. And I want to welcome anybody who is new to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining the Power Transformation Podcast community. And just don't join us for today. Go ahead and subscribe and follow. This podcast is on all podcast platforms. And I invite you to subscribe, follow, give it a 5-star rating, and write a review. And share this episode with at least 3 people that you know. Share this episode with at least 3 people. And after you've shared it with 3 people, share it with another 5. And let's just continue to let this Power Transformation Podcast community grow by leaps and bounds. We're going to jump right into this interview, but we always begin with an affirmation. I will say the affirmation once, and then you repeat it. I am kind, compassionate, and growing deeper in awareness day by day. I am so thrilled to have Maribeth Decker on the Power Transformation Podcast today. I have been looking forward to this interview. I met Maribeth through a mutual contact, mutual friend. And I'm so glad that I was able to learn about Maribeth. And for those of you out there like me who are animal lovers or who own pets, I've had pets ever since childhood. This conversation today is going to be right up your alley. So, hi, Maribeth. Welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast.
Hi, Alethea. I'm so glad to be here, and I get to talk about animals and communicating with them again. Yay!
Indeed. Yes, you do. And I'm so excited. And we're going to jump right into this interview. But I always like to ask my guests just a random question, something fun at the beginning, so that we as the audience can get to know you even more as just a person. And so this is the first question that I'm going to just ask you today. Maribeth, what was your first pet? What was their name? Who were they? And tell us a little bit about them.
My first pet let's see. I wonder if Tom counts. My grandparents had a cat named Tom, and I only know that because they told me. But there's a picture of me being, somewhere around 2, where you're walking around, but you're still little. And there's a picture of Tom and me, so less than 2 feet tall, and he's looking down into a little gully next to my grandparents' house, and I've got my arm around him, and I'm looking down there too. And I love that picture. I got that in my mind, and I've never forgotten it. But that was my grandparents' cat. But I mean, it's like, wow. So Frisky was the first cat we had, and well, when you say Frisky, I have to say Ralphie too. And they were outdoor cats, and so they would follow us to school going through the bushes, and slept with us and all that stuff. Lots of good memories.
That is beautiful. And when you said the name Frisky, my mom growing up had a dog named frisky, actually. So
Oh my goodness.
she sure did. So that is something else. And so thank you for telling us about that. And I love cats. I didn't own a cat as a child. Growing up, I had more exotic pets, from lizard to parakeet to things of that nature. Fish, lots of fish. And we had a guinea pig that actually belonged to a teacher at a school where my mom taught, but she would often let my sister and me take Cupcake home for weekends, or sometimes just to have. And yes, that was the guinea pig's name, Cupcake, and Cupcake was the sweetest. But then now, in terms of cats, I have a beautiful cat, a baby boy named Buddy. He's 4, and he's snuggly and cuddly, and he likes his kisses and everything else. And everybody that
Oh,
knows Buddy, he is the cat who has made people who have told me they can't stand cats love cats now because of Buddy. So
oh.
that's really exciting. So, Mary Beth, if a person were to ask you this question, what would you say? How would you describe her? Who is Mary Beth Decker?
I knew you were going to ask that question. I'm still like, ah. All right. So
It can go any way that you
can
want it
go
to
anywhere.
go.
I'm somebody who's surprised at who she is.
Wow.
I'm glad you just. I'm just surprised at who she is. I'm somebody who I am. I think I'm a bit of an adventurer for being a scaredy cat. Um,
Hmm.
I never got to say it that way, but I, in spite of my fear, I made some decisions that were very cool. After college, I was being prodded by a boyfriend to join the Navy.
Wow.
And I have to laugh here because he got rid of, I've got it in finger quotes here, his last girlfriend by sending her into the Navy. And that was bad too. So, yeah, I joined the Navy as an officer, and that led me in a whole different direction. And and I loved it. I
Wow.
loved being in different cultures and being with different people, even different people from the United States. Once you join the military, all kinds of people are in your life
Mm.
that weren't there when you were, well, at least for me, kind of a small neighborhood, small place, small suburbs. So I'm a bit of an adventurer, and I like coziness, and I'm a person who likes to try s- new spiritual stuff.
Mm.
I'm inquisitive, and I like to learn. I like to hear what other people are doing and how. Let's see, who am I?
Wait a minute. I just want to pause you here,
Yeah,
because if a person were to describe the word humble in a dictionary, your picture would be right there, because I am just giggling at how casually you say, I'm a scaredy cat, but yet, Mary Beth, you joined the Navy, you joined the military. Everybody can't do that.
I know.
That's pretty brave.
It was.
That is
And
courageous to me.
yeah,
Wow.
it's very, and yet there's the scaredy cat part of me, and yet sometimes I'm bold, jumping, rappelling down
Mm,
stuff, not for the Navy, actually for my self-growth. So yeah, I've got those two pieces, maybe because I'm a Gemini. That's one of the things,
maybe.
scared and yet doing it. So
That is absolutely commendable. And thank you for your service.
thank you.
Truly. Thank you. Although I'm not military, I have lots of relatives and, of course, friends that I know who are, but I do appreciate all of your service. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will segue now, because I know that was a little challenging, but I think this is a great starting point in that, okay, animal communicator, intuitive, you have been somehow empowered with this gift that is quite different and quite interesting and rather intriguing in my perspective of it. But what I'd like you to do now, Mary Beth, is how do you go from the Navy to realizing, hey, I have this gift and I want to use it to help others? So, first of all, before you even answer that, what is an how can I explain this? What does an animal communicator do? What is it? Explain that to us.
Great, great way to start. My way of saying it is that we have tapped into something that everybody has
Mm,
and have now been able to connect with animals from an intuitive sense, from an energetic sense, um, and been able to communicate in that way rather than using, I mean, we all who have animals or hang around, then we can see the visuals of what they're communicating from what they're doing and what comes out of their mouths or whatever. But this is going into mind to mind communication.
hmm,
And for most of us, that doesn't mean just words. When you think of mind, you think of thoughts, but
mhm.
the brain, I'm keeping this simple for myself. So the brain is not just something that creates words, it creates visuals, it creates smells. So it creates even emotions that comes through into the body. So we can pick up all sorts of things from communicating and connecting with animals
Mhm.
and share it with the human who's near us and see if we can get some information that's important to I
Mhm.
like to think of it to the relationship to help the relationship go along better and work better.
But how did you know you had this gift? Was it that one day you were just walking about or feeding your pets? How did you know this is something that I'm really, really good at and I can do this? Give us an example of that.
Okay. Um, I haven't been doing it all my life. So there was a point when I started, as usual, I'm Miss Curiosity, try something different.
Mhm.
Uh, Reiki called me, and I
Mm.
started doing energy healing, became a Reiki master. And at that point, my dogs started communicating with me.
Mm.
The first two were the ones who passed. So, um, Timmy, my beautiful street dog from Hawaii,
Mhm.
he had passed, and he showed up as a full body apparition, like he was sitting there in the dining
Mm.
room looking at me while I was cooking dinner, and it was a complete shock. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't expecting it, and he had a big grin on his face. I knew he was happy. I knew he was the Timmy still existed, and then he was gone. But I knew that he had come back to let me know everything was good.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and then another my doggy. I'm looking at her picture over there, staring over there. My doggy. Oh goodness, let me look at her picture again. Oh, Eddie, it's a girl.
Mm.
She had passed, and I had to go to an annual meeting. I was still working full time for a lovely association, and I was heartbroken over her loss. And she actually, I felt her presence with me as I was traveling on the plane to the
Mhm.
city where we were going to have our annual meeting. And I was, as many times as I've told this story, I love this. I'm sitting in the aisle seat, and I'm petting her, and she is in spirit. So I'm thinking, I'm sure these people behind me are like, who is this woman and what is she doing? But she stayed with me, and she was there. And a couple more things happened, and then my friend Mary finally said, "That's called animal communication, Mary Beth."
Mm.
Oh, then I
Wow.
started to get some training in it, and I had already started working with people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you work with people who want me to communicate with their animal through animal communication, I got them at a new open-hearted level. So not only I get to talk to the animals, but I'm working with people who love them.
Yeah.
It's a good combination.
Now, even prior to this, because you say some key things that has me more interested and compelled to really ask you this. But in terms of your experiences, do you think that you already, even at a younger age, prior to the Navy, those of us who have certain senses or spiritual gifts, was your intuition there even before you realized you could connect with animals? Because when you talk about you saw this apparition and the animal in spirit form, did you have experiences even with people in terms of apparitions or spirits, or has it only been with animals?
Um, like I did have a spiritual experience with the Creator
Mhm.
in my tweens. I guess that's the word they used.
Uh-huh.
Instead of
Yeah.
me,
Uh-huh. Okay.
And
I understand that.
I asked God if God existed
Mhm.
because I'm like, all right, I've been listening to this for X number of years.
Mhm.
Dude. And I had an incredible experience where God, um, and I'm not going to use he or she because it didn't seem to have a masculine feminine quality.
Mhm. Spirit, yeah. Mhm.
Spirit
Yeah, it's spirit. Mhm.
pulled themselves out of my sense of existence, and I felt the loneliness and the despair without, and then they brought themselves back into the world. And it was as if somebody had taken the oxygen out, out of our lives and then brought it
Mhm.
all back in. And at that point, I knew that spirit was loving, intelligent, um, obviously caring, and would even waste. I was going to say waste their time, but that's what it felt like. I'm
Wow.
just some kid living outside Buffalo, New York. You
Mhm.
came to me, so
Mhm.
I felt really loved. I felt like, well, I got that one down now. God exists, spirit exists.
Mhm.
Never going to have a question about that.
And so,
Um,
yeah, so I ask that because of the fact there are some people, and I'm not going to make this about skeptics, but what I am going to say is that I have heard throughout my life there's a group of us who believe that animals themselves are simply more than just these inanimate objects, so to speak. And then you have a group of people who say animals don't have souls or aren't spirit and they're just here, right? So I'm sure in your life, and I don't want to make assumptions, so definitely correct me if I'm wrong, you may have encountered skeptics who just say, this is just fooey, this just doesn't make sense. But in your work, what empowered you to say, I don't care what skeptics are going to say or people who don't think it's true? What compelled you to actually say, I want to start helping people in this area of animal communication. I want to be able to take on clients or to help people communicate in this form and to even perhaps grow closer bonds with their pets. So what led you to that in spite of people that may just think this is just a bunch of nonsense?
I've met those people.
Hmm.
They say things like, I already know what my dog is thinking. He wants belly rubs and treats. If that's all you think, you sure are. You're like, I'm in Oz and you're still in black and white, my friend, the
Mm.
TV,
Hmm.
back to that. But what I think my dog Tibor did it for me. He passed away last fall. He was a really tough rescue case. And he had fear aggression. He was a 50-pound dog, a Shar-Pei German Shepherd mix. And but we loved him. And even the rescue said, well, we'll take him back. I said, no. So I practiced my animal communication on him. With him is a better way. You don't, it's
Hmm.
not like surgery, you're actually communicating. Um, he decided he liked sleeping in the bed with me, but he wasn't going to share it with my husband. That's not going to work. That really, that's not going to work. So we actually had a communication about it. And I said, I'm going to get you your own big bed. I still had one from the dog, my dog Mitsubishi, who had passed.
Hmm.
I said, I'm going to get you a new one. That's going to be yours. This is daddy in my bed. You're welcome to come on it, but you're a guest. That bed is yours and nobody else's. And so I made a point to pick the cats up and take them off the bed. Like, no, that's Tibor's bed. So he really knew it. He switched and he went to that bed. He loved it. He came up, he'd be with us for a while, and he went down. I said, wow, what it, this can work. It's what if we could do this in more and more cases? What if I
Mm.
can't help others and help with physical stuff? Isn't that worth it? People don't want to use me. That's okay.
Hmm.
There are enough people out there who are like, yes, please help
Hmm.
me out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you started Sacred Grove.
yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, Sacred Grove, for a long time I didn't know why I named it Sacred Grove. I'll tell truthfully, it's like why.
Mhm.
And then I thought that spiritual experience I told you about, I had it in the woods. And I thought, huh,
Hmm.
and I always I'm a nature person. I look at clouds and tell them how they're beautiful they are. And, I look around and thank the trees that are in my neighborhood. So I thought this should be, this feels like the kind of place I would be if I was that woman in the woods. I'd be this would be the atmosphere of how I would like to communicate and how I would like animals to feel like when we're doing this. Like it's lovely. It's safe.
Mm. And what types of work do you do out of there? So, say, for example, if I said, Mary Beth, I'd love to have a session with you, specifically with Buddy. Take us through what you would do ideally with a client and what kind of services you provide.
So I I am at my best when you've got an issue. Like
Mm.
I'm somebody who wants to focus on helping something get better. So you would provide me with a little bit of information about what's going on, and right there it could be a physical issue because I do medical intuition and healing, and I have been pretty accurate about body stuff, not in diagnosis, but pointing out where things are off and how they're off and
Wow.
stuff like that. And also, what I call are emotional issues, aggressiveness, fear, um, or behaviors that just show up out of nowhere and you can't figure out what it is.
Mhm.
And cats that don't use the box, the litter
Yeah.
box, comes up. Doggies who bark on more than they need to when they're on walks, things like that. So really basic, and also the big things. So we find out what it is, and then I go in and I have a picture of them. We usually most of us do Zoom or some phone.
Mhm.
Uh, I talk to him, check and see if we can communicate, and then I ask him what's going on. And from there, I explain it to the human. Here's what I'm picking up. And then we start to have a conversation back and forth. Um, and in the conversation with basically it's the three of us, I'm the interpreter.
Mhm.
I also use sacred divine guides, and I will say, all right, so what's the best path to doing some help for them right now if they want me to do healing? And it can be healing for emotional stuff or physical stuff, um, and we'll go from there. And there's all sorts of things. There's clearing energies. There's going back to an incident that causes certain behaviors right now. We can do that.
Mhm.
And so that we do, and it's kind of tailor made for each animal and their specific issue. We'll, we'll pick out the right way to go forward.
Mhm. And I did notice that you said, for example, when you were on the airplane and how you were petting your dog and how people probably said, "What in the world is she doing?" And I do know just from us speaking offline, you also help clients if their animals have transitioned.
I do.
Mary Beth, tell us, what is the need or the desire people have to communicate with their pet who has passed on? Shouldn't they just move on with their life, or shouldn't they just get over it, as some people would say?
I
What are you
know.
finding is important for them to come to you with a serious concern in connecting with their animal?
Okay. There's I wrote a book, Peace in Passing, Comfort for Loving Humans During Animal Transition. And I rewrote it I guess it's a couple of years ago now.
Mhm.
What I'm going to answer that question, get a little bit bigger.
Of course. Take your
Okay,
time. Mhm.
thank you.
Mhm.
I realized that our grief as humans doesn't start at the moment of our pet's death. It
Mhm.
actually starts when we get that horrible diagnosis. I'm almost crying because I'm thinking of it anyway.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's that horrible diagnosis, or we just start to see them going downhill. Uh, my little Stella, she started to lose hearing and sight, and
Oh.
kind of walk into things. And she lived for quite a while, but still, for me, I could feel the emotion of, oh
Mhm.
crap.
Yeah.
And so I work with people all the way through that, wherever they're at. If they want to know what does their animal need right now, how are they physically feeling? Is the medication Simple things is the pain medication enough, or is it working? Also, what would be most helpful? What can I do for them that will make them happy? And then as we get closer to their ending, we can, and I've done this so many times, we can let them know. I can, well, I'll just say it, stepping back, I can let the people know how their beloved companion is feeling physically or mentally. And there's a certain point when you hear it and you go, oh, they're not having fun anymore. And I also can get the people and their companion ready for the transition, and so that there's a little more peace. Sometimes they want to say things and they want to hear things back and forth. And then afterwards, just connecting to make sure that they're okay, that they haven't hurt, honestly, that they haven't, they don't have any grudges. Like, you put me down, and I'll use those words, they're harsh. You put me down too soon, or how come you waited that long? I'm so mad at you. So they can have that conversation and let that worry disappear, because I have not met any animals yet that are holding grudges.
Yeah.
So we do kind of that, and there's a release for the reconnecting. It's really cathartic. It's helpful.
How have you seen your clients' lives transformed through this work? Meaning that they come to you one way, and then once they have that session with you, and I'm talking about even if their pet is still alive and they're just coming with an actual issue, and those clients whose pet has passed on and transitioned, what type of transformation do you see in your clients post these sessions?
I see. Let's see. That's a really good question. I noticed more compassion. Now, these are not people who come to me are not uncompassionate.
Of course, yes.
Right? I got to say that. I'm like, I'm not putting
Yes.
But for behaviors that are difficult, there's some more insight into what the cause was, and that gives them, with the compassion comes more patience. There's a willingness to work with them, to remember what the animal said that was helpful and comforting, and they're giving more of that. There's also more, I believe, more trust in themselves that they are doing a good job with their animal and their companion animal, and that in the best cases, I see a reigniting of the love that spurred them to get together in the first place. And I was talking about marriage, but it's you know that I'm not, but there was that little, I fell in love with this one, and then seeing the good things that they love about them, and reconnecting, or deepening the connection, maybe seeing a more appropriate way to say that. It's really beautiful.
That does seem beautiful, because I can only speak for me, but I know that animals, and specifically cats, I've never owned a dog. I've been around dog, but I've always had a connection when it's come to cats. And then oftentimes, even with my own cat being a rescue, He chose my sister and me. We didn't choose him. So now, with my sister living one place, I live another place, we actually share custody, so to speak. But he's happy with us both. He just wants to be loved. But he literally appeared when we were living together. He literally showed up at our doorstep, literally. And then when we took him to get assessed from the Humane Society in Washington, D.C., that's where I lived at the time, they did some tests and could tell that his prior owners abused him. And we got him when he was only 1. And with him being 4 now, just the transformation in him of knowing he's safe, he's loved, he's comforted, he's okay, he's in our family. I talk to him so gently, and the way he purrs or closes his eyes, nobody can convince me otherwise that pets and animals are more than what meets the eye. And so, therefore, Mary Beth, in you doing this work, how has this changed you?
Uh, um, this, um, I've worked with so many people and so many animals in different situations, and I have seen their love and the hard decisions that they've had to make. So I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is I have I have lost judgment towards
Mm,
anybody's decision about at least the people I'm working with, about what they're doing for their animal, because I have finally seen very tough places where the hard decisions need to be made because they love their animal so much. Um, and that has also led me to have more compassion for myself around my own animals and being able
mhm.
to sit and reconnect with my love, and not just well, there's that human judging part, that we want our animals to be perfect.
Mhm.
That's something that I still wrestle with. And so the ability to work with people and their animals and see their dedication,
Mhm.
that brings me back to myself and working with my latest little guys, and having the dedication. Um, what else? And I think it's compassion and non-judgment has really increased for me.
Mm.
Big time. So
Mhm.
big.
Wow. Now, Mary Beth, when you're doing this work, and I'm just curious, when you're communicating with animals, do you get more of senses, or are you actually hearing audible words that they're bringing through to you? So, is it a combination of both? How do you communicate with them, and how do you hear them? That's what I'm really, really curious about.
Well, it's for me, it's a lot of fun. I I started off with, they talk about different ways of receiving intuitive information.
Mhm.
My big one was starting with just feeling, or the knowing, and then feeling it in the physical body. Emotions can, when you feel scared, you can feel someplace in your body.
That's
But
right.
then I start seeing things, and hearing words. Um, Sorry, I got pictures of all the dogs and cats who passed
Mhm.
over here. My dog Mitsubishi uh, swore at me one time. I heard him, don't try. I was doing some energy healing on him because his back end was getting bad, and he looked at me, and he said, "Don't try that shit on me." And he jumped off the couch, and I
Oh
said,
my
"What did
goodness.
I just hear?" I said,
Wow.
"Oh, that must be because I was in the Navy." You know, he knows all those words.
Uh-huh.
So I will hear smart aleck comments. I will see. I will also. I think also what is I've been trained in doing dream interpretation, so a lot of
Mm,
symbology will come through to me. And like I was working with an animal, a cat, at the end of their life, and they were like in what came through is an analogy, like they were in their body was like a car, and they would try to turn the steering wheel and the car
mhm,
would go in a different direction. They tried to
mm,
open the door and the door wouldn't open, and they just felt caught and stuck inside their
mhm,
body. But it came through that way as an analogy, as a symbol. And
mhm.
that was reaffirmed by what the people told me about the
Wow.
neurological issues and things like that. So it's really interesting. I worked with a DJ who's left the DC area now, but his cat came through with a song from Green Day. And
Interesting.
yeah, and so I told, of course, the DJ would know these words, alternative
Mhm.
rock. Um, and I described it, and he says, "Yeah, that's my cat. That's it. That's
Oh
so cool."
my.
Yeah, so you never know. I just never
Yeah.
know.
And
Memories, real
mhm,
memories will come through as well. So
me
past stuff.
memories will?
Yeah, so a lot of people want to know what happened to their animal before they got them.
Mhm.
What were they putting up with, or what was going on? So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. And audience, I just want you to know also is that, Mary Beth also has client testimonials, people who have gone to her and know that the work she's doing is quite real. And I think that sometimes, especially if people haven't been exposed to this, is that it can be far-fetched and hard to make sense of, but you said something that was so profound early on, and I want to kind of start closing out with this question. You said that everybody has the ability to communicate with their animals in terms of understanding them better, things of that nature. So could you give us just a few tips, not all of your trade, secrets and training, of course, but just a few tips for those of us who are pet owners or work closely with animals in some form? How can we be more in tune with our pets? What can we do to try to understand them more, to develop even closer bonds with them? What kinds of things would you say we do? Maybe anywhere from maybe 3 to 4 tips.
okay. I'm going to do two pieces to increase the bond.
Mhm.
Um, my first suggestion is to well, I'm going to say it right out. Don't treat them like furniture.
Mm.
We get to the point where humans, we have this, we got to get this done, and then we got this, and we walk by them and we walk by them. Uh, Take the time as often as you can to stop and acknowledge their presence.
Mm.
Uh, I'm saying this because I noticed that in myself, and now I work really hard to take it and talk to my dogs and cats, and that's really useful.
Mhm.
And that reassures them and opens them up to hearing and also sharing with you. And along that line, if they ask for some kind of connection, give it to them,
Mm.
or tell them, I'll get with you as soon as I can. My cat Mac used to come up here and drop his ball right
Oh,
down there and say, "Let's
oh,
play, Mom." And sometimes I say, "Okay, let's do this," or I'd say, "Hold on a second. I will do it in about 10 minutes." And then we go and I'd throw the ball for the cat.
mhm.
Um, so just to remind them how important they are. Uh, if they're like being looked in the eye, look them in the eye and
Mhm.
just fill them up with love. Do it on purpose. I'm saying is just, and you can even do, I call it a love fest. Spend a
Mm.
little time telling them everything you have fallen in love with them about, all the things they do,
Oh,
don't do, how soft their fur is, if they've got fur, or how they make you smile, what they bring into your life. Uh, and then if you hear something and it feels like I was like shocked, like Mitsubishi, did I just hear that? Just
mm.
assume it's a yes, because a lot of us have heard it. We'll have such a knowing that we'll have a knowing about them.
Mhm.
Just know that you're picking something up from them.
Wow.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. It's going to come in fast, and it's not going to be logical, and you just accept it. And the more you accept it, I believe the more that you may start to pick up.
Wow. That is quite profound. And animals can make meaning and a lot of that things. It's so interesting. And I have it on video. There are times when I've called Buddy over and he'll come and he'll literally stand in front of me, no kidding, and he'll say, "Huh?" He actually makes that noise, "Huh?" He really does that, and when people have heard it, they've frozen and said, "Did he say 'huh'?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Huh," and I have it on tape and well, video, tape back in the
Yes, I
day.
know.
Yeah, tape, video.
I translated immediately.
Yes. Yes, so I have him on video, literally, huh? And it is the cutest thing. And so when I pick him up and I talk to him, he looks me in the eye. It is so amazing. So these tips that you've given, I think will be very helpful to everybody. And Mary Beth, if a person wanted to connect with you, and of course I'll have this in the show notes, but say that they're listening and say, you know what? I would love to connect with her. I'd like to have a session. I want to learn more. Mary Beth, how can people connect with you?
Um, I would send you first to my website. There's all tons of information about what I do. There's blogs, um, and more, just lots of good stuff.
Hmm.
It's yoursacredgrove.com. Just to laugh, it's not Scary Grove. I heard that one, and it's not Sacred Groove, although that sounds like fun too. But it's sacredgrove.com.
Wonderful. The closing question I have for you is this. Mary Beth, what inspires you to keep going and moving forward with this work?
Um, when I hear back about changes in behaviors, or um, that there's just a lot more joy in the family,
Mm,
that people have heard from their pet in the afterlife the way that I said that they probably would. Those things keep me going. I think I am never interested in being a fraud. So
mm,
it's useful to hear that I make that what I do is many times effective. Let's put it that way.
mhm.
That is that we're doing something good for people and their pets. And I love that. I really love that. It's what keeps it going.
Well, I am so grateful for you. I'm so glad that our paths cross and just thank you for sharing this information and giving people a greater awareness, even me, giving me greater awareness as to this. And we on this planet need to really come together collectively in so many ways. And that also includes with our animals. They are living beings as well, and we need to treat them with respect and with dignity. People might think, well, I'm a human, they're not. But at the end of the day, I do think that, we have a special connection when it comes to animals, when it comes to pets. And if we'd only just pause, just to stop, observe, take a listen, we may really be quite surprised at all the wonders and the mysteries that God has left us just to unlock if only we'd step outside of our comfort zone. And I'm glad that you're doing that work, Maribeth, which causes people to think of things in a different way and causes them to truly be empowered to want to just be better towards their pets, but also they might learn a little bit more about themselves as well. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It has been quite a joy.
This has been so good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What a phenomenal episode. Just the way that Maribeth speaks is so soothing and comforting. And it is absolutely amazing the way that she presents herself. And I've got to tell you all this much, okay? After the interview, my cat Buddy came toward me and I said, Maribeth, would you like to see Buddy? She said, certainly. So I picked up Buddy and he literally stared in the camera and looked at her for probably a few minutes. And the reason why it was so extraordinary to me is because Buddy can get very squirmish and squirrely and move about a lot if I hold him up in front of the camera. He was calm, cool, collected, let me hold him. He did not mind having a moment with Maribeth, and it was absolutely beautiful. So I just wanted to share that part on the back end. Again, thank you for joining today, and we're going to close out with this affirmation. I'll say it once and you repeat it. I am kind, compassionate, and growing deeper in awareness day by day. If you enjoyed today's show, then you don't want to miss an episode. So follow the Power Transformation Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you usually listen, and remember to rate and review. I also invite you to connect with me on social media at Alethea Felton. That's at ALETHEAFELTON. Until next time, remember to be good to yourself and to others.